Health Minister Dr Aaron Motsoaledi says some lawyers submitting fraudulent claims at the Road Accident Fund have shifted to the healthcare sector. The Special Investigating Unit last year recouping over 300 million rand from unscrupulous law firms on behalf of the scores of crash victims. Well, the RAF CEO is Collins Letsoalo. He's with me in studio tonight. Mr. Letsoalo, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. I think when you listened to the Minister of Health saying the things he was saying in Parliament, that must have filled you with at least confidence that you are doing something right. He says following the Road Accident Fund strengthening its processes, the Department of Health has noticed an explosion of medical legal claims. This is against his department. How do you feel about that statement?
Well, it's sad because then they've moved elsewhere. It would have been better if they're out of the system altogether. For us, we've always been saying it, clearly, that we're working very hard to ensure that the RAF becomes sustainable and that these lawyers are unscrupulous. And I think people, when we said that, they said we are scapegoating them. So this is after the SIU has actually done the work. So it is, if you remember very well, this is also a joint statement between the Minister of Health and the SIU. So it's not something new. We have said that we are going to support them. We know who these people are. We know how they operate, their modus operandi. We'll be working with the Department of Health.
The Health Minister going further to say, clearly, there is something that has disturbed this pattern on the part of the RAF now that these people have migrated to health.
Yes.
So talk to us more about what it is that you are doing to strengthen processes at the RAF.
So firstly, clearly, when you get injured on our roads, you, in terms of Section 22 of the Act, you are supposed to tell us within 14 days as a driver or as an owner of a vehicle that someone has been involved in a car accident. These are the people. You fill a thing called RAF Form 3. You will never find one at the Road Accident Fund. Now, what happens usually is that you would get people claiming. So, for instance, we know an accident would happen, 10 people will get injured. We are likely to get more than 50 claims on the same accident. The rationale is that this is fraud. And how they achieve this fraud is through the act. So what they used to do is that they would fill in forms and claim, and if we do not react within 60 days, that claim in terms of Section 24(5) is valid in all respects in law. Now, you can imagine someone says, I got injured. They've got 3 years within which to claim. By the time you get to the hospital, the records are lost. You can't find them anywhere. The people that are bringing the records are the only people with the record that this person was injured and it was actually a road accident. They are not even supposed to give us an accident claim form.
Right.
So this is why we brought a thing called RAF Form 1, which is what people are fighting about, to say there are onerous requirements. There's no onerous requirements. We wanted information so that we can actually help the actual victims. Yeah. But of course, majority of these claims happen to be fraudulent claims. So that's how we started to tighten the system. And one of the first things we did, you'd remember when we got there, is to say, when we looked at everything else, we realized that 99% of the time these matters are settled before they go in front of a judge, suggesting that you don't actually need to go to court for these matters. But the difficulty with this thing is that it is based on delict. So the guys they have played the role. By the way, we still believe very strongly that they are the ones that wrote this act for themselves. If you go to Section 19C of the Road Accident Fund Act, it tells you that you can't actually lodge a claim without actually needing a lawyer, because if in 60 days we don't respond clearly, you must issue a summon. Right. But to issue a summon, you must be a lawyer. Otherwise, you can't issue a summon. So it's something that they've done for themselves and their colleagues. And it's very, very difficult. It became very difficult to do this thing, but we took the path that a lot of people did not take, even including our predecessors.
So as a result, therefore, are you seeing less and less fraudulent claims?
Yes, we are seeing less and less claims. We used to receive claims of about 300,000 claims a year. We are now sitting close to about 90,000. So it tells you a story that most of those claims, about 200,000, were actually fraudulent. Because once you start to say, give me all the information for us to be able to give you an offer, to justify your claim, a lot of claims were less. And when they brought these claims, most of those claims did not meet the minimum requirements that we then set.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not too long ago, the RAF was a going concern.
Yes.
As far as its finances are concerned. How are things going there now? How are your books looking?
No, we're looking much, much better. I'll tell you that the short-term debt was sitting at 19 billion when we arrived. We are sitting at 8.3 billion as at the end of the last financial year, as we released it on the 31st of August. On Monday, we'll be releasing our results. You will see for yourself. The amount of money we used to pay to foreigners was about 3.54 billion at a time. We are not paying close to that because we have said we are closing that. For illegal foreigners, we are not paying because they must prove they were in this country legally. That's our view. And of course, I mean, those are the things that people are fighting us about. And I mean, there is a concerted effort even now to get rid of this management and this board. And of course, they are a big lobby group, these people. So we are happy that they have migrated out of our system. It would be better if they get out of the system altogether. Because, I mean, it doesn't help us that they then have got 20 billion East Cape and everywhere else. They have moved out of the RAF system, but they're still in the state system in one way or another.
Well, someone who seems to hold a different view, although he didn't dwell much into your books, is the Scopa chairperson, Songezo Zibi. I spoke to him just a few moments ago. This is what he had to say about the state of affairs at the RAF when I said that the Minister of Health seems to be praising the RAF, that they're doing something right because all of these people that were submitting fraudulent claims on the side of the RAF have now migrated over to health. Listen to what Songezo Zibi had to say.
The road accident fund is not in a good footing as far as we know, and the lawyers have not moved. So you may have heard that the Johannesburg High Court, if you enroll a case now for some matters, you'll only get a date in 2029. Over 50% of those cases are road accident fund claims. You remove those, you might be able to get a court date maybe next year if you remove those cases, or maybe at the latest in 2027. By the way, the Auditor General will be briefing the Portfolio Committee on the road accident fund.
Your thoughts on what he had to say?
No, I agree with him. I agree with him that there's a clogging at the courts.
Yeah.
But you see, you must understand how the RAF system works. I've just said to you, it works on delict. Delict means I'm suing you, Xoli. I can't sue you outside court. It just doesn't happen like that. And that's what I've been saying. Which state operates on a social benefit fund that says sue me to get your benefits? I've been saying that.
Yeah.
Now, he says it's 50%. Go and check the release of the Dr. Henny Klopper's research in 2019, where he says 88% of all matters on the court roll are RAF matters. So if you take that 88% and you listen to him, if he's correct, he's saying 50%, it has reduced by 38%. That's part of what we've been doing. We've been taking these matters, trying to remove them from the roll. Of course, the lawyers are interested in enrolling them. Remember, we defend matters.
Yeah.
We do not put matters forward. So the plaintiff, which is the domitus litis in terms of law, is actually the claimant.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been saying. Take this thing out. I mean, the very same parliament refused RAP's bill, which is a road accident benefit scheme that said no fault, meaning don't bring these things here. Yeah. In our own bill, we are saying to remove these things, bring a thing called the road accident fund adjudicator, so that when we don't agree on matters, they don't actually go to court, they land with the adjudicator. That's what we have proposed in the new bill to the minister. So it is correct that indeed there are 50%, but there were 88% when we started.
He then, in his last statement there, says, yes, in the not too distant future, yes, the Auditor General, yes, is going to come before the committee, yes, to present the the state of finances
Absolutely.
of the Road Accident Fund. Are you not worried? You having
Absolutely
beautiful
not.
sleep at night?
Absolutely. There is no issue there. You would remember that there's only one issue that we differ with the Auditor General on, which is the issue around the accounting treatment. But the rest of the matters, we are clean. From performance, perfect. From consequence management, perfect. You must go and look at that report. We are releasing it on Monday. We are quite happy about it. There's no issue about it. Because we are clear that what we started, it's a successful turnaround plan. People might want to undermine it, but the reality is the results are there. People say that it is the Minister of Health who said that. I'm saying it's a joint statement between the Minister of Health and the SIU, meaning an investigation was done, the conclusions were arrived at, and the conclusions are justifying what we've been doing.
And therefore, you're here to stay as CEO of the RAF?
Absolutely, I'm going nowhere. My contract ends at the end of August, and if beginning August, I think it's the 6th of August next year. And if I get an opportunity to do that, I'll apply for the position again. I'll continue what we are doing. We've got a 15-year plan. The first part was to stabilize. Then, of course, the main turnaround is going to be now. But it is going to also depend on this bill being passed. The Road Accident Fund bill, which must amend some of the provisions in the Act to make it sustainable going forward, must actually be passed. That's what we are calling for.
Collins Letsoalo, thank you very much for your time. Road Accident Fund CEO, you've heard the man, absolutely confident that the books of the RAF are going to be above scrutiny. And he's confident he's here to stay. All right.